what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Marriage Savvy Podcast, where we believe that being savvy about your marriage can help you not get finessed by it. In today's episode, we're going to bring back Amanda for our fourth installment of the series, I Love You, But I Am Not In Love With You coaching series that we have with Kim and John Bowen, our CEO and founder. And just Amanda, if you can go ahead and just give us a rundown, a quick snapshot of what the episode is about.
So today we're talking about what it looked like to lose and then rebuild connection in the midst of work, parenting, and the 1,000 invisible tasks that come with being in a marriage.
And you guys want to make sure to stick around to the end because we're going to be processing with Amanda on how to creatively go about finding these opportunities to build intimacy, coming up on today's show. The Marriage Savvy Podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be used to diagnose, treat, or act as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your primary care physician, mental health professional, or qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition and/or mental illness.
So, Kim, John, can you share a little bit about how the challenges of growing in your relationship and raising kids and doing life together, how that played out over the 35 years?
Well, when I think about it, I think what made it harder for us is we moved so far away from family and friends. And when we came here, our boys were 4 and 2.
Yep.
And it was just us. I mean, so there wasn't somebody to keep the kids so we could go. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money. There was, and there wasn't a lot of support to help with the kids. If one of us or both of us were sick, we had to figure that out. Date nights, a regular date night occurrence seemed like a lot of effort and money and work. Yeah, it was hard to maintain to figure out how to navigate through all that.
I remember a lot of walks.
Yeah, we did walk a lot.
Where we would walk and talk and download and sometimes argue, where we just dealt with life. I also remember a lot of, on my way to work, I would find a place where I could pull off, and I would spend time in prayer and reading the Bible. And there were a lot of times during those prayers that I would reflect on various things that were going on in my life and in our marriage and my part in that and how I could do better, or things that I needed to pray for because they needed attention. That was a pretty big part of healing.
One of the things that made it easy, though, when our kids were little, was we played more. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
A lot more fun.
A lot more fun and playfulness. Like, we'd take the kids to the park and we'd just play for the day. We would go for bike rides.
There was a summer we didn't have enough money to go on vacation, so I took like days off. I took like one day off a week, and we would go to the zoo, or we would go to a park, or we would go just have fun.
Staycations.
Yeah.
The therapist hat's coming on a little bit, but I think with clients that we work with, for marriages that have been hard for a long time, a lot of drudgery, and it's just hard. Losing playfulness is a tragedy that happens and just makes things so much harder and worse. Couples that play together stay together. I believe that. And when the kids got older, I think it got harder and lonelier.
Yeah. Because
you don't play as much. I think that was a really important aspect.
I remember the time I came home and there was yarn. Like I opened up the back door to the garage, from the garage into the kitchen, and I walk in and I'm like, I can't move because there was yarn strapped all over the house and around everything. And she had the boys that day. They had gone through and done that just to have fun. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to get down on the floor and crawl up underneath all this stuff
just to get in the house.
Just to get in the house.
That is genius. I'm going to use this idea.
The boys loved that. It was a
So
hot day in
fun.
Texas. We didn't have a pool. You know, it was a hot, hot day. And we put yarn everywhere.
So
They still,
fun.
they still talk about that as one of their best memories.
I do. I think having fun, and I think um, even when we were struggling, I think there were uh, times that we took off and had fun with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
We put our own whatever was going aside and said, you know, they're more important and they need us right now. And so I think that was a big deal.
What about intentional, undistracted time together during that hard season where you don't have the boys there, they're young, or maybe they were teenagers? Were you able to find that time to just spend together to work on the connection, to build the intimacy, or was that a struggle for you guys?
I don't remember that being the struggle of, I mean, life was busy,
Yeah.
right? It just was busy. What made it hard to connect was my feelings of not wanting to connect.
Mm-hmm.
I had already gotten to the point where I just was like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be with you in a vulnerable way. So I pulled back.
And at that point, I started really pursuing hard, which is not what she wanted at all, and um, made her more frustrated with me. Then at some point, I just simply said, okay, I'm going to stop worrying about what she's thinking about me, and I'm going to do what I feel like is right. And uh, I'm also going to give her space. I'm going to let her. She's saying she wants space. She's acting like she wants space. I'm going to give her space. Not in a vindictive or retaliatory or I'm going to give you space. You're going to give me. You're not coming to me. I'm going to give you space. It was okay. That's what she wants. I'll let her have her space.
Honoring.
Yes, I will let her have her space. I think that was helpful as well.
It was very helpful.
Did you feel a little bit seen and understood when you were saying I want space and he gave you space?
Yeah, I was starting to feel real suffocated. And, the more someone clings to something, the more you want to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we call it drop the rope in our coaching now. But when he dropped the rope and was like still very accessible and kind and loving and respectful of me, but just wasn't pursuing me, no pursuing behavior. The first thing I remember feeling is relief. I could breathe. I didn't feel like I was constantly getting assaulted with what I wasn't feeling anymore in this relationship, right? But then I remember you kind of look around and go, wait, where is he? What's happening?
It gave you time to miss him.
Gave me time to miss him a little bit. Yeah. So that stopping that pursuing behavior is really important when somebody is feeling suffocated in a relationship or like it's just too much. It's too much all the time. And giving them space to kind of catch their breath.
It shows a level of understanding that even though they're not where you're at, you're able to take that space and honor what they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what she said is key in that I really didn't. I was like, I gave her space, but it wasn't like I wasn't there. It wasn't like I'm. You want space? I'll be gone all day. You
Or
know,
move out or
you want space? I'll do. No, it was like, okay, I'm here. You you be you. I'll be me. If you need something, sure, I'll do that. But I'm not going to then take that and say, oh, she wanted that. I'll do more. It was
and
just
here's some roses.
yeah.
And here's the rose. This is really a big deal for him because you got to remember this is somebody. Okay, we've been talking about how you would hide and how you
Mm-hmm.
please and all this. What we've not said, which I think is important, is when we both have insecure attachment styles, right?
Yeah.
When your attachment style is activated, your flip side, rather than pleasing and appealing, is also to come out for more closeness and seek more closeness. So, like, if we would have an argument, I would be like, I'm about to lose it. I am no longer a thinking, rational human being. Like, this needs to stop. John could not walk away. He would follow me into the bedroom, just talk, 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 talk. And I'd be like, I don't want to talk anymore.
Trying to fix it, make it better.
Trying to
Yeah.
fix it and make it better because he
Calm
could
his
not.
anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
distance was creating so much anxiety in him.
Mhm.
And when I'm in a spiteful, horrible place, I could use that to hurt him,
Yeah.
because I can do distance. I can do distance all day long. And John cannot. He was not comfortable with it. So the more that he would come after to resolve and work it out and talk it through and let me get to a place where I'm not feeling this kind of anxiety and disconnect, right? I would just get very frustrated and aggravated by that. And for him to be able to say, you know what, you need some space, I'm going to respectfully give you that, was huge.
I got to that place through a lot of prayer. I mean, that was difficult for me to get to the place where I could deal with that anxiety. And at one point, um, I did. I felt a calm come over me. It was like, I can do this. This is okay. It doesn't. It's not the end of the world. I can handle this, and just let her have her space.
And that's growth. You had grown, you matured. Did you see how that insecure attachment was becoming a little bit more secure? In coaching sessions, we talk about with couples having some vocabulary that they work on together that helps them to both kind of come back to a co-regulating space of, oh yeah, I was really scared and reactive and disconnecting. But when you say I matter, or when you look at me and you say I'm on your team, it helps to bring back that reactivity level down a little bit and to feel safe. Did you guys experience some phrases, or was there anything that you learned throughout your marriage that helped you to come back to a place of we're in this together?
Do you remember anything like that?
Yeah, there were a few things like you would come in and you would say, like, I have a stressful job, right? Like, there are times I would come home and I would go in our room and I would just, like, I talked to people all day long and I just was out. Like, I can't do anymore. And I would go in our bedroom and shut the door. And what I make up about it, because John would come in later and he would say, he'd put his head in the door and he'd say, do you just need some time alone, or are we okay? Are we okay? So what I make up about that is I exited, and rather than have a reaction, John was starting to feel that his insecure attachment was coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's just checking in with me. Hey, what that did, instead of being annoyed by that now, because now I know what's going on, right? I would be like, you know what, honey, it isn't you. It isn't you at all. And if you'll just give me 30 minutes back here to decompress, then I'll come back and re-engage. And he was fine with that. And now we call it our alone time. I'll come in and he actually said to me not that long ago, he goes, I need some alone time tonight. And I'm like, do you now? He's like, yeah, are you okay with that? And I'm like, oh, I'm so okay with that. Go have your alone time. You go have that alone time. But that's his way. That's learning how to manage our attachment styles, right? And John saying, hey, I just want to make sure we're okay, that you're not doing your behavior of pulling away because you're upset with me. And I'm like, nope, that's not what this is. This is just me having my alone time.
All right, Amanda. So I know that as we process, we're going to be talking about creative ways, but man, how fun is that yarn story? I mean, that's not even using an iPhone or a smartphone. So anyways, I'm excited for this process time. Let's go ahead and get started.
I loved hearing how intentional Kim and John each were with contributing to the connection, the creativity, having fun together, making those family memories.
Oh, for sure. And, like you said earlier, what was that whenever you're trying to develop, awareness and do all this work, all that is great. But it's like, man, I have a full-time job. of 50 hours a week, right? Times are tight. Sometimes we don't have all the finances. All we have kids,
Mhm.
right? And kids can be a buzzkill sometimes. I was
So
kidding.
much stress. Yeah.
I mean, it's real. It's real being a family, especially in 2025.
It's
Money, time,
hard.
work. Oh, man, it's so difficult.
Really, really
It
hard.
is so difficult. One of the things that they mentioned was John specifically saying, "Hey, let's go out on a walk." And he would also take Fridays off in the summer because they couldn't go on a giant vacation, right? To have that time. I mean, like, I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I would like to do that." Even if I did have some of the money. I mean, like, how awesome would it be to just like have a 3-day weekend, you know?
Yes. Yeah. It's so important to be intentional. Even with the very little time that you have, what is one thing that you could do today that might increase the connection and the warmth in your relationship? And maybe it's just sending a text message, just a I miss you, I love you, or hey, let's go on a walk. We've got 10 minutes before we put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
It can make a huge impact.
There was a couple that I had in session, and they made it a point to walk every Sunday evening for time of connection.
Yeah,
And let me
very
just tell
intentional.
you, like, yeah, like 2 months in, I was so proud of them because they were doing that, and they're like, I'm learning new things about him. I'm learning new things about her, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, man. I love it.
I
I
love
love it.
that openness, right? Instead of
Yeah,
going, we have to go on a walk together and I'm just going to sit here and not talk. They chose to connect during that
yeah,
activity and make it a, I get to walk with my spouse and learn about them.
yeah.
Totally different mindset.
Oh, for sure. And I get that it's really hard. Like whenever we're exhausted,
Mhm.
like whenever we're really tired, like we don't want to do anything. Like we just want to sit on the couch and watch TV or Netflix, or you know what I'm saying, or do something really relaxing, no noise, even though that's hardly impossible now.
Mhm.
But like we don't want to do anything. Yeah,
Just imagine if your spouse, who maybe at one time felt like a roommate because you were just passing in the night, all of a sudden just looks at you and maybe even puts their hand on you and says, hey, I'm so glad we're in this together.
yeah,
That would take a second, but man, the warmth. Can you just imagine how different it would feel versus just passing by?
yeah. And we're in Texas, y'all, so we know it gets hot. Okay, so I'm curious. Like, have you ever heard of those games that couples play where it's like stare at your partner for 5 minutes and see what happens? You
No,
ever
but
done
I
that?
like that. No, that sounds fun.
Can you tell me, or just kind of like your thoughts on eye contact and what that does for intimacy?
Yeah, it builds
What do you think?
connection. I think it depends. Everyone's a little different, so I think it's important to really explore with your spouse. How do they feel? Some people feel really uncomfortable with eye contact,
That's
but
right. So
others,
ask first.
yeah, explore that. How does it feel? I think asking with anything, right?
Yeah,
About the walk. Some people don't enjoy taking a walk, and that's okay. So asking, how does it feel when I sit with you face to face and we make eye contact? It's probably going to be really uncomfortable if it's not something that you've practiced. So maybe you do kind of make it a game. And I
yeah,
like the idea that there is a game like that. Um,
yeah,
but ask. Just, I'm
yeah.
curious, how do you feel about text messages during the day? Would you like to receive more? How do you feel about the ones I've been sending? We do a connection exercise in coaching with couples and have them look at each other with for 2 to 3 minutes and just intentionally see the good. That sounds kind of similar to your game where
Oh,
you're
okay.
just you're looking and in your mind you're seeing all the good. And then after that they tell each other what they saw. So not too different than your
Oh, that's
game.
cool. Yeah, that's cool. Like Kim said in the episode where she said, um, couples that play together stay together. So tell me some of your thoughts. Have you seen that? Is that something that you would um, say, hey, John, guess what? Let's talk about playing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's statistics out there that it's proven. Just imagine when you're a kid and you spent time with another kid just being silly and free and having fun, you typically liked that kid and wanted to spend more time with them. Same thing in our adult relationships when we just, take off any pressure, get a little bit silly and creative and do an activity together, it builds that bond. And typically when couples are doing fun creative activities together, and if you're listening in, you're going to hear them maybe laughing, maybe even opening up about something that happened that day. It is a safe way to connect typically.
Okay, so you just mentioned about having uh, new experiences or creating new experiences for each other, right? New activities
Yeah.
could be anything. And I remember Kim mentioning something. I think it was like on an earlier episode. She said by some guy named Stan. I don't know if you know.
Atkin. Hmm.
Yes, yes. But he said the number one ways of being able to see your partner differently is to engage in new experiences together.
Yes, you're learning together,
Yeah,
right? Doing new activities, learning together, maybe even having to rely on each other, partnering together. Say if
yeah,
you're playing pickleball together, you're working together to have fun, to achieve a goal, to
yeah,
experience something new.
yeah. And in that way, that is playing.
Yes.
That is that is doing something together that maybe you've never done before,
Right.
and giving yourself and your partner the freedom to just be a human
Mm,
and experience something really cool and with the person that you really want to experience that with. So,
yes.
uh, Amanda, as we end this episode, what is something that you would reflect back on and ask our audience to maybe even think about considering when we talk about playing, when we talk about giving the space for intimacy and opportunities for intimacy? Like, what would you say could be something that would be helpful?
I would like to encourage our audience to consider doing a weekly check in. If they're not doing that already, that is a time that they can explore. One, kind of knowing where their partner is at, right? Like Kim and John were at different places, and we all are at different stages of life. But to ask, hey, would you be open to trying a new activity with me right now? Would you be open to taking a walk? And working together to even design those check-ins.
So, like a check-in is of course, literally checking in on your partner, but asking them, hey, like, how are you feeling right now? How are you doing? Is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that I can, would you like some space? Would you like a hug? Would you like us to just sit on the couch? Like,
Mhm.
um, in some way, this kind of just reminds you of like serving somebody.
Yes, it's that being curious.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know how our partner feels. We can build stories all day long, but that's not helpful.
True. We got to ask, guys.
Yes.
We got to ask. So, well, thanks, Amanda, for this episode. We're going to come back and finish up with the last installment of this series of I Love You, but I'm Not in Love with You. And we're going to end with Kim and John's story about how and what they now see their marriage as.